Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. I have Kyle. Now, Kyle, when he started, was working way too much. He was working way too many hours in the business. He wasn't able to have the kind of life he wanted. And, to top it all off, he really wasn't making as much money as he wanted either. So, after working with us, Kyle has been able to. He actually hasn't worked in the business in 9 months. Like he hasn't worked on the floor in 9 months. He's been able to take vacations. He is now making more money than he did before. And his business is basically running on its own and doing better than it ever has been before. So I know you guys want to know how we can do that. So Kyle, I want to start off with you and just ask, thank you again for being here. But tell us, like, what was life like for you back when we looked 9 months ago? What were things like when we first started out?
9 months ago, life was pretty different. I was working in my restaurant a lot. I had to do most things. Wasn't making that much money after the monthly expenses came out, and yeah, I didn't have adequate systems in place, and that was kind of the chaotic life of a restaurant owner. What I thought was normal at the time, and that's the way it was back then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, and so when you're looking around and you're seeing other restaurant owners, like, are you kind of seeing what, the same thing? Like they're doing the same thing now that you were 9 months ago. Like, are you seeing that a lot when you look
I
around in town? And
I do see that, and part of me wants to go up to them and say like, "There's a better way." I don't every time, but sometimes if I end up talking to them,
yeah.
I do let them know there's other ways.
Absolutely. No, that is huge. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to ask, after working with us, we know what the results have been like. But I wanted to ask kind of what are some of the key things that, we worked with you on? What are some of the key things that changed to help you get to where you are now? What are some of those key pieces for you?
Um, Big key pieces. There were actually a few big key pieces. The main attraction to joining up with ownership was I needed to get my systems more dialed in, more tuned in, and that was something I always struggled with. And working with ownership definitely was. I was able to see and tie those things together. Um, so that those have definitely improved to the point where everything's kind of on a system now.
Yeah.
The hiring process has gotten so much better in terms of onboarding and training, but most importantly is um, attracting and finding the right people to be in the business. I could be selective. Um, we're constantly having a flow of applicants who are
Yep.
qualified, and I'm not just grabbing anyone off the street. Please come do dishes for me for an afternoon. We're very selective now,
Yeah.
so it's just that's been a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Was that what you were doing before? Literally just like taking anybody that walked in?
It wasn't necessarily anyone that would walk in, but it was almost to that point. I mean, especially now with the worldwide or national labor shortage that everyone is experiencing. I'm not experiencing that because the systems I learned through ownership have really just been able to streamline this process so much
Yeah.
smoother. And honestly, I'm really not even a part of the interviewing process. My managers do it for me, and
Perfect.
they are doing an excellent job of running all those things.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Because if you're the one that is always doing the interviewing and doing all of that labor, like you can never get your business fully running on autopilot. And actually, you got to have a system in place. Like I say to people, I'm like, I don't care if you can hire. What I care is that there's a system in place that will consistently deliver great candidates to your business so you can move it forward.
And
It's
that's
not
in
a
Yeah, and that's in every aspect is you got to get out of the way, because if you're doing anything on the floor, you're essentially doing is what I learned through the program, and it's true, is that you are blocking a space for someone to come up and be able to do that for you. So the longer you are staying on, I've owned the restaurant for 11 years. I've been in the
yeah.
business my entire life. It was my grandfather's. This is the way I was trained, was
Yep.
to in the family was you have to be there at all times. It's just not
Yeah.
that way. Not true, and I make more money being off of the floor than I did when I was working inside of it anyhow. So you got to
Yeah.
get out of your own way. You got to be a coach to your employees, and that is
Yeah.
that is the best way to run a restaurant business.
Yeah, 100%. And don't get me wrong, it is not easy to do that. There's stumbles. I mean, I remember there's
Sure.
times when you were like, "Hey, this isn't going so well," or "Hey, I'm unsure about my managers being able to execute on this." Like there's growing pains, of course, but at the end of the day, you were just mentioning before we hopped on here that you just went to Disney recently. Was that
Sure. Yeah. Took the family to Disney for a full week, and then on
nice?
top of that, after we got back, took the family to the Cubs game and spent the
Yeah.
whole weekend doing other things. And I took the next week off too because I could, and still making money in the process. And I was able to take the extra funds and grow my real estate
Yeah.
business that I'm also venturing into. And yeah, it's been a dream after 11 years.
Oh my God. You know what? And it's so funny. I love that you said that, this is the way I was trained. This is the way my grandfather did it. Like there's this culture in the industry that says you've got to be there 80 hours a week. And what I say to people is that the reason everyone says in order to be successful, you need to be there so many hours is because they don't know any other way.
Right.
Right. That is one way to make a restaurant successful by being there and doing everything. That is a way to do it. But that is not the goal for a lot of people who actually want to have a life at the same time. They want to be able to have family time. They want to be able to grow, and doing things that way will only get you so far. So I love that you said that. And then I love literally, I went to Disney. Oh, it took another week off too. Oh, and I did this, like that is just, I love to see that because it's possible. And it is the most amazing feeling, I will tell you, to leave and have your team run the business really, really well and come back to more money in the bank account than was there when you left without you
Yes.
having to do a thing. It is a beautiful feeling. And there's not a lot of people that can experience that, but you know what? Yeah, I'm proud of you for being able to do that. And oh
Thank
man,
you.
I'm sure so many people out there being like, how do I do that? So I want to hear from Camille a little bit. So Camille, we've got Kyle's coach on here as well. So Camille, what are some things that you saw during Kyle's journey that really stood out to you or that really made an impact?
You touched on it earlier of like the growing pains. Kyle, I think you definitely felt that in the beginning with your managers, and you realized that you didn't have the right people in place at first, which is
Yes.
okay. And that's part of the learning process, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah. Big time.
but you realize that and you're able to adjust and refocus onto having those right people in place and getting more people hired. And when you brought Sasha in and you gave a lot of the reins to her, it seemed like she just ran with it.
Oh my God. Yeah. And she's even since we've ended the program, she's run even more with it. I mean, she is just really, really a rock star doing everything.
Yeah,
Not
I'm
even
sure.
like she's not even doing everything. She's now delegating everything, further down to her assistants. So it's a win-win. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's following your leadership as you've leveled up and you've learned to delegate and trust people. She's following that as well. And that's been a really cool thing to see happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And you know what's so interesting too is that we have some clients that stay on with us and continue working with us. And Kyle, when he ended the program, the reason this is really interesting is because I love to hear that even, months after we stopped working together, things have not only been still good and consistently stayed that way, but they've gotten even better.
Yeah.
So, the investment in working and changing your business is long lasting. It is a lifetime thing if you continue on with it and take what you've learned and multiply it. So I love it. Now, final question for you: if someone is out there and wondering, hey, my restaurant is not doing the way, it's not going the way that I want it to. I'm maybe not making enough money. I don't have the life that I want. I can't find the people that I need. If they're in that position and they're just coming across this and saying, well, what's Andrew all about? What is his team all about? What would you say to them listening to this right now?
I would tell them that, listen, I've been there for a very, very long time, and I understand what it's like to be in those shoes in that position, struggling to make ends meet while you're working, working your ass off for 80, 100 hours a week nonstop.
Yeah.
And if you don't make a change, it's never going to change. And if you're on the
Yeah.
fence about this, my recommendation is you have to take that leap of faith. Otherwise, you're going to do this forever, and you're going to burn out. And this is not why you got into this business. The reason you got into this business is because you love food, you love the restaurant business, and you want it to be something that works for you. And you gotta do it. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck in that position inevitably, forever.
Absolutely. You know what? And I heard this stat the other day, and I have to verify this, but there's a stat which is something like 80% of restaurant owners either sell or and usually sell at a loss or retire without any money. Like it's one of those two. They either sell at a loss or, go bankrupt. Like there's such a high rate of people that are not successful. And the thing is, after 11 years, you finally found out how to do things differently, right? But that could have easily been you. You know what I mean? So
Sure. And it was close a couple times, like several times. It was very close.
Yeah.
So, and now it's not anywhere near that.
Which is awesome. I love it. And so, when people ask me what gets me up in the morning and why I do what I do, is because I've been in those exact same shoes. I get up every morning and I'm passionate about what I do because I love to see people succeed. And I know how hard it can be, but it doesn't have to be. So yeah, no, man, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I'm so pleased to see, all of your growth and everything you've been able to accomplish, and just the way you've taken this and went on even further. I have no doubt your real estate business, is going to grow even further. And, maybe we'll all be living in an apartment owned by you someday. Who knows? But yeah, man, I appreciate this. And obviously, we'll tag you in this post. If anyone has questions, they can, comment and so on. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here. And thanks for being amazing.
Sure. Thanks, man.
All right. Bye, guys.